If we make conscious awareness the focus of our year in 2023, we will have the best year of our lives. And those two words are very intentionally used because there's awareness and then there's consciously choosing where we put our awareness. Are we focusing on the thing we don't have, the promotion we want, the raise we're hoping to get, the job we hate? Or are we focusing on the blessings we have? Are we focusing on the here and now instead of worries about the future, painful memories from the past? And so conscious awareness is choosing to be present and choosing to put our awareness on the things that we love, that make us happy every single morning to get out of bed, instead of the things that bring us down. There's really two ways to get everything we want in life. And we have to do the first thing, and that'll lead to the second thing. And the first thing is to let go of all want and desire. And there's so many scientific studies that show that the more we want something, the more we kind of push that thing away. You know, we obsess, we stress, we make fearful, irrational decisions. And we know that when we're relaxed, we are our most creative. When we're relaxed, we have the most energy to put towards the things we love. And, you know, it kind of comes from that really inner confidence, from no pressure on ourselves. I call it rock star confidence. You know, these guys who have the confidence to come out on stage and do crazy things, and we all love that. It's magnetic. We want to watch those guys. And so when we can get out of our head and be fully present, where there is no thoughts, there is no self-doubt, there is none of that stuff that causes all of our lower intelligence to come forward, and we're able to tap into that higher wisdom based on intuition and knowing exactly what the present moment calls for. That is how we get to step two, which is whatever we loved in life, and we pursue that. And it's not out of want or desire or craving or attachment to some result. It is purely for the love of this moment that we build the life of our dreams. And there is no fear of not reaching that goal we want. There's no fear of some desired outcome slipping away. And when we can get into that headspace, all our dreams come. I would even just go on to say, you know, whether it's a musician playing music and they're just feeling the music and they don't think about what is my finger going to do next, and they're totally present. Or a tightrope walker who the moment starts to think about what they're doing falls off, because you can't think in these situations. And it doesn't really matter what we're doing. When we get into our head, we're not present in doing what we need to be doing. And so it just takes practice to really be in that present moment awareness where we can react and adapt and use our highest intelligence, our highest wisdom to know exactly what to do in each situation without second guessing, without fear coming into the picture. And so we simply, whether it's through meditation and just focusing on our breath, or whether it's just whatever we're doing, putting our full attention into every sensation that we're experiencing, you know, feeling our fingertips and what we're touching, and listening to the sounds, and, you know, seeing exactly what's happening instead of going into that autopilot, habitual mode where we're not even aware of what's going on around us. We've all been there where we just are in autopilot mode and we, get to the end of the workday, but we really miss the whole thing. And sometimes it can be tempting, but even doing mundane, boring things are opportunities to become fully present. And it is in those moments where we're not resisting what we're doing, whether it's the dishes or, a monotonous, repetitive job, we can still be fully present and we can learn to enjoy that feeling, because that is where true joy comes from, is being fully present. And there is no negative thoughts coming into the picture. There's no resistance or just doing something to get through it, which is really one of the root sources of all suffering, which is just doing something and not being able to wait till it's over. And so everything becomes a practice in that way.
How to find a job that will give you joy?
There's really two ways to find a job that will bring us the joy we're looking for. The first thing we need to do is pay attention to what we gravitate towards naturally. If you love movies, maybe something in visual effects or sound effects or some kind of writing or some role in film might be what you're most drawn to. And so find what you naturally gravitate towards. A lot of people are becoming video game designers because they love video games. And it can help to find a mentor who can tell you about the different jobs in the field that you didn't even know about, and even help you reflect on your own skills and what you might be best suited for. But ultimately it comes down to our own intuition, and that can just come from reflection. What do I do? What do I spend my days doing? What are my favorite things? And what am I good at? And what am I naturally drawn to that I bring value to others by doing? So that can just be any passion, any hobby that you love to do. And then having the courage to find a mentor or speak to someone in the profession, and this way we can learn a bit more about that profession and have a way in. Everybody wants to be a movie star, so maybe that's not the right thing for everybody. There's only going to be a few, but if that's your thing and you're happy being a high school drama teacher as a backup, then go for it. And you will be doing what you love, whether or not there's $1 million budget or a few $100 for the community theater. You'll be spending your life doing what you love, and that's so important. And then the second thing I'll say is that there are many people who are doing the thing they love the most and they hate it. And this is something that is really important to remember, because I think this is the bigger problem that actually most people find themselves in, is finding everything a struggle. They put too much pressure on themselves. They are in these high pressure jobs that are putting pressure on themselves. And so they can be a video game designer, they can be a movie star, and they can feel enormous weight of pressure and anxiety and even depression. I mean, how many famous rock stars, famous movie stars have committed suicide or died from addiction? These are just, the cases we know of, but there's so many more who are just silently struggling. And so we need to also remember that it's not really the job. It is how we take on stress, how we manage stress, and whether or not we're releasing stress. And most importantly, are we training our mind to view stress in a non-stressful way? The world needs garbage men and dishwashers and truck drivers. And for each of these things, we can experience a life of joy and a life of inner richness that doesn't feel like we're struggling, that we're lacking. And it all starts and ends in the mind. If we are using our time, whatever we're doing, to help us get deeper into the present moment as a practice for presence and really coming alive, because we're fully alert and conscious of what's happening around us and what we're doing, then we can find joy in anything we do. It's about reaching that flow state where we're not in our head, where we're not saying, pretty much all work-related stress comes from that voice in our head that says, this sucks. I can't wait till this is over. All of that inner resistance. And that voice doesn't have to say, I love this, but it can be silenced when we are fully engaged with it, because we gave up resistance, and we can just, dance through it instead of grudgingly get through it. And so that's super important to remember, is that it doesn't matter if we are working at our dream job, working towards our dream job, or we have a job that we need just to put food on the table. We can turn it into a spiritual practice that helps us become happier, more alive every single day, and instead of that crushing weight that grinds us down every single day.
How to face the ups and downs of life?
The best way to deal with the ups and downs in life is to treat them the same, which is to say remaining peaceful through both and not losing yourself in either of those extremes, in the ups or the downs. When I was a kid and me and my brother would start playing, and if we got too excited, my mom would say, if you get too happy, you'll end up crying. And that usually did happen. Like, one of us would end up hurting ourselves and, running into the wall or something like that. And we can really get carried away in either emotion, in the ups and downs of life. And of course, it's great to feel all that great stuff, and it's less desirable to feel grief and loss and suffering. But when we can remain peaceful through both, when we can experience the joys but not lose ourselves and stay conscious and not get carried away, and when we can do the same with the stresses in life, we will be able to maintain a really centered peacefulness that can carry us through those ups and downs. And it just means that we are aware of our breath. We're aware of ourselves. We are aware that if it's an up, that things are great right now, they might come back down. We don't forget that. And when we're down, we don't think this is forever either. And we can just enjoy the waves, the ups and downs. You can surf them if you like. And so really the only way to survive is to go through those straight on, right in the middle, without fear or resistance to those downs, without attachment and clinging to those ups. Because life will be full of ups and downs. We cannot avoid it. Everyone we know and love will be gone someday. Every emotion, the full spectrum, will come into our lives. Just as we think everything's perfect, the universe will send us a wake-up call and remind us that we have not escaped that roller coaster of life. And so if we can maintain that big perspective, if we can maintain our awareness and not lose ourselves in either of these situations, then those ups and downs will feel like little ripples on a pond instead of big tidal waves in the ocean. And for me and many others, meditation is that chance to observe all of these things. Because in meditation, some days it'll be very pleasant and we'll feel like we're enlightened and this is we're done with suffering. And then another day we'll feel like 10 minutes is 10 hours and we'll feel pain in our back or just very sad from something that's happened in our lives. And all we do is we keep bringing our attention back to our breath and keep practicing that present moment awareness. And that trains our mind to face the ups and downs in life the same way. Meditation is just a microcosm for life. There'll be pain, there'll be pleasure, and we just sit through it and we sit with it. And that's the way.
How to find beauty when you can't find it?
We are surrounded by beauty every second of every day. It is in the way the light bounces off objects, and it is in the silence between sounds. It is when we close our eyes and we just look inward into that peaceful spaciousness within us. We can all plant a seed and grow a plant, a flower. And there is infinite depth and beauty to nature. And we are nature. And it is with us all the time. And too often, we get conditioned to look at the negative, to see the ugly. From news and 24/7 news alerts that pop up on our phone telling us the worst thing that happened on Earth just now. But we can turn off those alerts and notifications. And we can, instead of watching a horror movie that builds up that stress response, we can watch a nature documentary or go outside and look at the sky. I mean, there is, no matter where you live, beauty all around us. We just have to look deeper, and we have to stop allowing ourselves to be conditioned to look for the negative and to only see the problems. Often, the only thing that stops us from seeing the beauty in the world is that voice in our head that is just constantly chatting in our ears, these negative, self-critical, and judgmental thoughts that are not representative of who we truly are. And we are the people, we are the true source of consciousness that is able to say, I don't agree with that, and to focus instead on those beautiful things in the world. It can be tough when we recognize that voice that is blocking us from the beauty in the world, that is labeling things not beautiful. But that awareness is the first step towards turning those unconscious thoughts into conscious thoughts. And if we spend more time cutting out distractions and paying attention to that voice, just like a child might misbehave when no parents are around, but then suddenly is on its best behavior, when the teacher's looking or the parents are looking. We are that higher wisdom. We are that authoritative voice, not the impulsive, unconscious, repetitive, negative thoughts. We are the awareness of those thoughts. We are the witnessing presence. And once we start to notice that voice, we can stop believing it, stop listening to it, and most importantly, stop even resisting it, and just allow them to be, and just watch. And once we start watching without any of the negativity that comes from craving, desire, or resisting, that's when we'll see the beauty emerge.
How can I appreciate more and complain less?
The human mind is constantly trying to take in the world and then interpret it and filter it down into a simpler, easily digestible simulation of our experience. It's constantly trying to understand and make the complex into something that is easily graspable. But the universe is complex, and we don't understand everything that's happening, at least on an egoic thought level. And so the key to appreciating everything and complaining about nothing is to let go of that need and urge to interpret and understand, because you don't have to do that. Like, our human brain is 95% subconscious and unconscious processes, and that is really where the greatest part of our wisdom comes from. It's not that one word thought at a time in our brain of just that voice. That's the very peak of the iceberg that is our mind. And so we have to let go of this need for control, this need to always figure out how to perfectly create these circumstances we're looking for. Because there, in any situation, is good and some bad aspect. And even the bad aspect is good in some aspect. And even the good is bad in some aspect. Because too much of a good thing is bad, and sometimes the tough things help us learn and grow the most. And so the more we just accept and embrace everything around us, the good and the bad, and recognize that it's not even that simple, then we simply appreciate the complexity, the mystery, the awe-inspiring infinite universe that we are one with. And there is nothing to like or dislike, complain about, or resist, because it is all part of this flow of energy, inseparable from us, and to recognize that all of these opinions are not from reality itself, but purely from the mind, and that they are causing needless suffering. And so when we let go of everything we hold on to, our need for control, our need for these perfect situations to have a happy life, we'll find that everything we need we already have. And when you feel that connection to the universe around you, and you recognize how everything is related and in relation to everything, that everything is perfect because there can be no good without bad, then acceptance of whatever happens will come into the picture, and we can embrace and love everything. And that is the foundation for appreciation.